MITM Business Consultants.
Comes Man in the Middle, your one-stop shop for financial tips and tricks that big banks and corporate America won't teach you
and don't want you to know.
Discussing the latest and greatest products, services, skills, and habits to grow and support the financial needs of your business and you. Giving you the knowledge to help make your own important choices for your business and you.
Disclaimer: Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
Now, here is your Man in the Middle, with 10 years of experience in the financial and banking industry, Art Abrahamian.
What's going on, everybody? This is episode 4 of Man in the Middle, as you will notice. If you haven't watched episode 3 yet, we're wearing the same thing because we're literally doing it back to back. We knew we were behind a week, so we're giving you guys 2 this week, and then we'll have one for you next week. George, what's going on?
What's cracking, guys? How's it going?
This is going to be episode 4, and we're going to be talking about client retention and why that's really important for our business owners and for any business, not just our clients. Client retention is literally the most important thing, because without your customers, you don't have a business. Now, your customers don't necessarily have to be walk-in customers or, just any type of customer that you may have. If you deal in wholesale, then you're dealing with companies, but they're still your customers, and retaining them is just as important. I feel like a lot of the time people are so taken by the fact that they want new clients that they forget they have a whole list of clients that they're not even touching base with. Mm-hmm. And it's so detrimental for businesses. It really is, because the amount of clients that you can gain, some of the clients that you have could be worth more than 5. So I remember working at the bank. It was always a problem of mine I had too, because it was like there was a point where all they wanted was new clients, new customers, new clients, new customers, because they wanted to just get these accounts open to show stockholders and investors, like, look at how great we are. We're expanding into the marketplace with so many different households. But it got to a point where even myself, I'm sitting there going, so we're managing all these clients and you don't want us to focus on them. You just want us to get new clients. And I go, when some of these existing clients are worth 10 times what these new clients are worth. And they're like, well, that's what we want. Okay, great. And that's what you deal with when you deal for a corporation, especially a financial institution. But it got to a point where finally they did the numbers on it and they realized that there were 3 types of clients. They have what's called mass market, which is your everyday. And you have your core, which are your 100,000 and above. And then you have your premiums, which are $1 million and above. And they realized that one core customer was worth 10 mass market.
Really?
Yeah. So finally, we end up getting a business leader that gets the idea behind relationships. At one point, they didn't even let us call ourselves relationship managers. You're not a relationship manager, you're a specialist, blah, blah, blah. I was like, but that's stupid. We're managing 500 plus people, 400 plus people. We're their relationship manager. That's what we do. We manage the relationship. Nope. New guy gets here and he's like, yeah, they're relationship managers. So we finally got to use that title. And he even said, he goes, 10 new clients equate to one of those core clients. And you want to know the differences? Those core clients are waiting for somebody to come along and say, hey, I can do another bank to come along and say, hey, we're willing to take your relationship and show you how much you care. Fortunately, I didn't lose many of my clients like that because I always just treated everybody the same. I was like, I'm relationship manager. I don't care whether you let me call myself that or not. Even before they let us start calling ourselves that. But the point was sometimes you're so intrigued and it's like an open wound. You think you're patching it on one end, but you're bleeding out the other. So it's if you can't get that down, that concept of yes, it's very important to acquire new customers too, don't get me wrong. But there's also a level of you can't forget the customers that you had, because at the end of the day, 65% of business is obtained by referral out of the 100% that's out there. So 65% is obtained by referral. That means the new customer could be a part of that referral customer. But how are we going to get a customer to refer if they're not being treated properly? And that's the conundrum and dilemma a lot of people find themselves in, is because they want more business, but they're forgetting that, what about that existing business you have? I mean, you can't just forget them. It's not, when we work with clients, we don't just go, thanks for your money and have a great day, we'll never deal with you again. That's why our membership includes monthly check-ins. When we sit down together at our office here and we talk to them and we go over their goals and needs, because what may have been last month may not be this month, and what they may have needed last month may not be the case, or what they thought they didn't need last month, they might need it now. So it's like, that's why you have to evolve with your customers. In our last podcast, we talked about like companies evolving.
Right, yeah. You know, one thing what I love about you is that you establish a relationship with people and you maintain it.
You have to. I sell myself. I don't sell a product.
Yeah.
We sell our services. We don't sell a product.
Yeah. And it's different from a bank.
Yeah, exactly. It's way different. It's way different than anything. You can't find what we do anywhere. There's very seldom few companies that not only worry about their clients, but worry about their partners as well. And say, we reach out to business owners and we say, hey, we're always looking for customers we can refer clients out to have this service. And if they want to join our platform, they're welcome to. But the idea behind it is people's time is very valuable. And the fact that our clients can pick up the phone, call us anytime and say, I have a question about finances, or hey, Art, or any of our guys really, and they have a question about construction, like, hey, I want to build out one of my buildings. Can you find me some people? Yeah, we can. We have a network full of people. And what we do is we go out and we find those people and we get the quotes for the client, and we come back to the client and say, here's your options. That doesn't exist.
It's kind of like a broker.
Yeah, we broker everything, though.
Yeah,
We just broker everything. Anything and everything we can get our hands on, we help our customers, because their time is valuable, and that's what our time is meant to be used for. Helping them get whatever they need as quick as they need it. So retention is a must. And, what I was trying to get across with that, we were talking about the last podcast not too long ago, was that you have to evolve with your customers. Like, if you only offer one thing, like yesterday, I took somebody out to lunch. I took a client of ours out to lunch. He's been a great partner of our company, and his clients love working with us. And he was getting married, so I said, hey, let's go get some lunch together. And he doesn't drink, okay? So I was like, oh, well, maybe we can have like a non-alcoholic beer. He's like, yeah, that sounds good. So we go somewhere. We go somewhere local, because he's really into burgers. He loves eating burgers. And I was like, well, let me take you somewhere you probably haven't been. So I took him to the El Paseo Grill. It's a really yummy place. I mean, the place is awesome. They make everything from scratch. A great place. If you guys haven't been there, definitely go try it. And I asked the lovely lady who's taking our order, I say, hey, do you have, because I see the thing, and there's a couple beers and like a little bit of wine. And I said, do you have non-alcoholic beer? She goes, no. But I love what she said after. She said, I don't, but that's a great idea. I'm going to place an order for that, so next time if you guys ever come back, we do have it. And I was happy.
Was she the owner?
No.
An employee?
She was the employee. I was staring at the owners. I knew the owners for a long time. Back when I was working when they first opened that place like 5-7 years ago, I remember them. And they remembered me too. And I was so happy for them to have an employee like that. She catered enough about the clients that she has to be like, we don't have that, but we're going to evolve now that we know that's a possibility. And we never thought about that. We talked about that in the last one too. Evolving, right? We don't know when it's time to do stuff, but you have to be ready when that problem comes about. And now that's a problem. It doesn't seem like one, but it's a problem. Because if that was an option, how many more people would be into that option? There you go. So she's like, well, we'll order some. I was like, great. I feel great about that because she cares. And those owners should be very happy to have somebody who works like that. Because here's the thing. You can't expect your employees to care about your business like you do. That's just what it is. Any business owner that gets mad and has the nerve to say, why, they just don't care like I do. They're not supposed to. It's not their business. If every business owner expects their employees to care about their business the way that they do, they're out of their mind. That's what it is. They're not the ones making all the money. You are. Yeah. You're paying them to do a job, and they should do their job well. That's not an excuse to have a bad employee. Don't get me wrong. But you cannot expect the level of effort and work that you put into something for them to do. However, there are those employees that act that way, and those are the ones who are ready for management positions, or you've identified that maybe they're not ready now, but they'll eventually become your supervisor, manager, GM, whatever it may be. But the idea behind it is hard work can't be matched.
And it's so easy to distinguish that between people.
Yeah, you can tell who's in it for just a paycheck and who actually cares.
And I'll be honest with you, I manage 15 properties. I think I mentioned this before on our second podcast. Yeah. And I can tell who's there just to collect the paycheck and who's there to take their job seriously and is willing to go the extra mile to do what's right for the company because they care.
Right. And there's a level of that, like to what you're saying, that this all applies to client retention because you as the owner may not be dealing with all the clients. Your employees might. Right. So how do those employees do it? One of the things we love to do when we do overhauls for clients in their program, and we're working on one hopefully pretty soon here, we're just waiting for the client to get back to us, is I loved his answer. I said, how's your customer service? He says, there's none. I said, thank you for your honest answer.
Wow.
Because most people say, oh, it's the best. It's the best, the absolute best. And I laugh. Because I go, and how do you figure that yours is the best? Because when I hear them, I go, great, so you're in proximity when you hear them. So they're not doing it because they want to. They're doing it because they know you're listening. He goes, what do you mean? I said, let's call them right now. So there's the business owner in front of me, and we call. I call. And I'm not acting rude, but I'm being kind of difficult, unsure of what I want, just this concept. And the first thing I say is, hey, how are you doing? And they go, what can I do for you? And I looked at him, and he's appalled. And I said, oh, okay, well, anywho, I was thinking about doing X, Y, and Z. I wanted to know, do you guys help clients such as myself figure that out? He goes, well, we really don't help people figure much of anything out. When you're ready for the service, feel free to give us a call back. Click. Okay. And I look at him, I go, there's your star team. You told me that person is amazing. And I said, you just lost me as a client. Now imagine how many times a day that guy answers the phone.
He misses on so many opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
He was appalled that could be his staff. Because in his mind, when he's there, clients love everybody. He doesn't even listen to complaints. Clients complain, and he goes, that's not him. I know him. That guy's just being difficult. And to an extent, there are just some people you can't please. There's plenty of those. However, you should always sit down with your customer and ask them. If I have a customer who said, you know what, Art, I really don't like X, Y, and Z, I'm going to listen to them. Whether I feel like it's an appropriate determination of how that event went and what my actions will be going forward is up to me. However, I want to hear the full story. Because based on the full story, there's 3 sides to every story. Do you know this saying?
Yeah, you actually told me about this.
Okay, do you remember the 3
years
sides?
Ago, actually, yeah. No, I don't remember them off the top of my head.
There's 3 sides to every story.
Yeah.
There's your side, there's their side, and then there's the truth.
That's what it was, yeah.
So it's like, get your employee side of the story, get your customer side of the story, and then find out what's true and what's not and what adjustments need to be made. But that guy's employees that we're talking about, where I called and his employees didn't even care to say, I'm doing great, how are you? How hard is that? Very easy. Being nice to somebody is easy. And especially when you run a business, your clients are the reason you eat. Your clients are the reason you're open. If you can't show them the respect that they deserve, and we're not talking about worshiping the ground that they walk on.
No.
That's not it. We're not saying you have to worship them. But I am saying you need to respect them. And you need to understand that your services are only so good that if you can't service your clients right, the customer's not interested in how good you do work anymore. They'd rather go somewhere else and take a chance because they'd at least like to be dealt with. Our company shirts, this is a perfect example. We put in for our company shirts, our hats, our polos, jackets. I have no problem spending money, especially when it comes to investing in my company. I always spend money on my company. And I make sure that you and everybody else and all the other guys and everybody who's here is happy. Because, and we'll cover employee retention later, but employee retention is just as important as client retention. I want all of you to be happy when you come to work. And if you're not feeling like working that day, then don't. Because I'd rather have you at your best and I don't want you, if you're not at your best, I don't want you at all. But here's what happened. We put in for our shirts, and I'm sure you remember, we've been waiting since September for polo shirts, this, that. Yeah. The guy doesn't call us, and I've already called the credit card company and pulled a charge from him. His excuse originally was that his machine had broke. It's local here. We're not even going to bring up the name. We're not going to witch hunt them, but it's a local here. He was great in the beginning. Never followed up. I had to keep following up with him. Eventually, a thing happens where he said, Tuesday the shirts are going to be ready. And this is like the third week of September. And I go, okay. So that day rolls around. The day before rolls around. And whenever the day before of something, I always check in with customers, with clients, with vendors. Hey, we're still on for tomorrow, right? Like, it's just everything's still good. He never responded, which was odd. Then I went there, and it was closed. Wouldn't call me back. Eventually, I finally get a call back, like 3 days later. And I go, well, so what's the deal? Like, you said Tuesday, it's now Friday. I haven't even heard from you, and your doors are closed. He said, my machine broke, so I'm not able to work. I've sent it off. I'm waiting for the part. Fine. I'm okay with that.
But he should have relayed that information over to you.
This is just the start of it. Because I don't even think you're aware of the whole situation. No. And you're about to find out just like everybody else. Fine. I understand that's not his fault. It's not his fault the machine broke.
Things happen. Yeah.
I'm not unwilling to wait. However, communicate. So fine. He tells me this. So a week goes by. No call. No check-in. I'm calling. No answer. Leave a voicemail. Wait 4 days later, I get a call back. Hey, man, where are we at on this? You said it would only take 3 weeks. It's almost a month now. The parts delayed. I dropped the machine off in Long Beach with the manufacturer. It says that by Monday I should get everything based on this chart. I said, okay, well, will you please just call me and keep me in the loop? Yeah, no problem. That was the last time I heard from that person, and we're already October 30th. And I started this purchase in September. So I eventually just called it. And I was hesitant to call the credit card company because I didn't want to pull the charge because I don't like doing that. I was trying to give them chance after chance after chance. But then it got to a point where it's like, I'm being stupid now. So I said, all right. So I pulled a credit card charge. I go to Minuteman in Palm Desert. Place the order. She goes, we want a 50% down. It came out to like $400 because I started adding some stuff. I don't want 50% down here. Charge it. Take the full amount. Just get the job done. And just keep me in the loop. I'm really easy to deal with. I don't call people and give them attitude. I just want to know what's going on. When we deal with our clients, we're constantly calling them. Constantly. If they get sick of it, then so be it. They can tell us, don't call that much. But the point is, every step of the way, I want them to be aware of what's going on. Because sometimes it's not the fact that people have to wait. It's the fact that they don't know why they're waiting. So that's a huge part of it. Communication with your customers is the number one aspect of client retention. How you treat them is second. If you can't treat them right, you're not going to keep them. If you can treat them right, but you can't follow up with them, that's another problem. The concept behind why it's so important to spoil your customers, and that just means go the extra mile. It doesn't take much for you to be nice. One of our rules here are when you answer the phone, you have to answer with a smile. I tell all the guys here, all the advisors, all the consultants, if you answer your phone and a customer's calling, I want you to answer with a smile. That's all you have to do. Reasonable request. Keep a relationship. Treat them like they're a friend of yours. Always be professional, but I want you to pretend like it's somebody that you care about that's calling.
Yeah.
You can tell the difference between somebody who's smiling, even on the phone, versus somebody who's just answering to answer.
That's true. That's true.
And you automatically know, we get it all the time. We get compliments all the time. I love calling you guys. You guys are always in a great mood. We are in a great mood. We love what we do. We love helping you guys. Don't ever take for granted why you're in business and what keeps your lights on. That's the biggest problem. People take for granted that their customers are the reason they're around. Your guys you mentioned when you do those property managing, it's like they're in it for a paycheck. They don't care. They're not in there for customers. Customers has requests. I don't know.
I'd say about 80% of our employees are just there to collect the check. Our supervisors, the foremans on the properties, they're on top of it, and they all care about their positions. And you can tell, like I said, you see them work, the way they communicate with the employees. It's really difficult to find.
Yeah, that's why they're in a higher position than those employees. And you want to know what's funny is those are the same employees.
And we take care of them.
Right. But those are the same employees that complain.
Yeah.
Where they're at in life and what they do for a living and how they don't make enough money or where they wish they were higher up. I remember we had a client who brought their son and asked for us to help them with a resume. It was a simple request. We said, yeah, no problem. We'll help this guy. He's not a young kid. He's like in his late 20s.
Late 20s.
And I go, what are you applying for? He goes, warehouse supervisor, warehouse manager, like at a Target or something. Well, great. You have industry experience? He goes, yeah, I've been working in a warehouse for forever. Okay, fine. We do it with him. He comes back. I go, how was it? He goes, oh, I didn't get it. Well, why'd you not get it? He goes, they hired somebody who has management experience but has never worked a day in the warehouse. I can't believe that. And I said, what do you mean you can't believe that? I said, what is the title that you applied for? Warehouse manager. Why would they hire a warehouse worker and not a manager? Because I don't understand. You have to understand that the job that you do when you're a supervisor now or when you're in a management position, you're not dealing. I said, does your manager deal with the warehouse? He goes, no, we do. Great. So the skills you have aren't for the job that you want. You could become a lead in the warehouse, but you have no management skill.
Yeah.
So it's like your employees, you have to structure them. Company structure is everything. And we help companies restructure because they don't have it down right. They either have too many managers or not enough managers or not, it's like the right people aren't doing the right job. And then the people that are doing certain jobs, they're not doing it to the best of their ability because they just don't care or they don't have that training, that formal training to say, hey, I should be doing this differently. Like your administrators that answer the phone, they should be the nicest people on the planet. I should fall in love with each of them every time I call because they're so sweet or even, it doesn't matter what they are, girls, guys, it doesn't matter. The point is they should be so easy to talk to that I immediately feel like I can trust doing business with this place. Problem is, you can't have somebody so good just in the beginning and then bad throughout the rest of the process.
How do you learn to distinguish that from the beginning? I know that it's kind of difficult to do when you go and do these interviews with people, but I'm sure there's like some sort of method,
oh, me?
Right? Yeah, like how do you go about it?
When we do it, so when we do our overhauls and we actually go to the business to help the owners like restructure, the first week or two, we sit down and we just shadow.
Okay.
So we take notes on each employee. Mm-hmm. We let them work. We bring them in and we ask them questions. We have a questionnaire that we ask them, like, what is your goals with this company? Because sometimes the employee in front of you doesn't even want to work for you. They're just working. Yeah. And at that point, you need to make the determination, do you want somebody like that on your team? And if they are going to be on your team, to what level will they be on your team? That doesn't mean you fire people who don't want to grow within your organization, but you're in your organization and you're trying to build a lifelong relationship with your team, with your customers, with the community. So you have to ask yourself, if this person's not in it for a long time, then are they worth keeping? But let's say you keep them. Fine. Well, there's still expectations. You may not want to grow within this company, but you work here. And if you're going to work here, there's a standard. And if you can't meet that standard, then this isn't the place for you. But in that particular situation, we go and we sit down and we evaluate the employees because we want to know what they're good at right now and what they need to get better at. And you can't fix something until you don't know what's wrong with it. And in this case, that works with people too. So we don't just go in there and go, okay, everybody, this is how you do, because it's not the case. This person may be really good at one thing, but is lacking in another thing, whereas the guy across the hall might be really good at the thing that this person's not good at. So it's like, why would I waste time teaching him something that I feel like he's already got a grasp on instead of working on some of his weaknesses?
And this is part of the process of reconstructing a company.
Restructuring a company's organizational chart.
Yeah.
Not everybody requested, but we've had a few this year, like that, like the one prior, we just did one on Thursday, was an HR restructure for the company because they don't really have a process in place. So we created the process for them. And they're happy. They're very happy because the documentation is good. The structure is great. It's easy and it's efficient. But when you're dealing in sales and like customer service and certain industries, it gets to a point where you're like, one mistake can ruin everything. But it's to the level that it ruins it. People aren't upset when mistakes happen. This is typically the case. Like people making mistakes, it happens. They're not upset when mistakes are made. They're upset when mistakes aren't owned up to.
Just being honest.
Just being honest.
That's what my boss always tells me.
Like,
just be honest with the clients and the board members. They appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not going to be happy with it per se, but they're going to respect it. Mm-hmm. And they'll continue to do business with you because honesty goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And the reality of it is, I wouldn't have canceled that credit card charge on that client I was the client on that company that was supposed to do our clothing. Mm-hmm. But because that he just doesn't care enough about his business, why should I care? If he doesn't care enough about his business and me as a client, and you know what? I'm not saying we spent millions of dollars there because we didn't, but we had no problem spending money there. It was never a matter of spending money. So he lost a great client because I have no problem spending money on my company because I think you have to spend money on good things to make your company better.
And for it to grow, yeah.
And for it to grow. But if you can't appreciate my business and you don't care enough about me to at least call me and be like, hey, man, I'm sorry this is happening. He could have easily have called and said, I'm still delayed. I don't have an answer for that. However, I have two options, right? Giving people options. You have to give people options. Sometimes we know we can't do stuff, but we don't say, no, we can't do it. We say, give us some time. Let us look at some options and see if we can get that done for you. Even if we know for certain it's a no. But you got to try. Because people will respect the fact that you're trying versus just washing your hands with it and saying it can't be done. And that's huge. The idea is you want to create a system and service that customers, when they use it, they love it and they trust it. And they don't want to go anywhere else. They could get it cheaper. Maybe they can get it done cheaper somewhere else, but they don't want it done cheaper. Because in their eyes, you're worth the cost. Because where they're going to go, they're not going to get that same service, they're not going to get that same quality, and they're not going to have that relationship. And that's just what it is.
It's just powerful.
There's nothing more to it than that.
It's powerful. So client retention, it's a big one.
It's a must.
Yeah.
You have to appreciate your clients, and you have to follow up with your clients. We follow up with our clients. We call them on their birthday. Happy birthday. Enjoy yourself. We check in. We text. I was texting one of our doctor clients, and he's in Cabo, sending me photos. I was like, come have a drink. He's like, I'm in Cabo. I said, good for you. Send me photos. Hope the family's good. It's just like, we're people. Having a good relationship and along with a working relationship is very healthy for everybody, especially right now. Everybody's so wound up.
Difficult times, my man.
I get that, but that doesn't...
It's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse to be rude to people.
Yeah,
it's not an excuse to hate everybody you come into. Mm-hmm. It's like you can't even... It's like everywhere I go, I feel like there's eggshells everywhere. Yeah. You can't say something, you can't do something, you can't be something, you can't ask something. So it's like a lot of people feel that way. Mm-hmm. Being able to give them just a sense of like reality and calm and fun and still getting work done, right? Like we're all about having fun here. We joke around with each other all the time. We have a great time working together. Yeah. All of us do. Mm-hmm. But we also understand that when it's time to work, it's time to work.
We hammer down on it.
Yeah, and we do it the best we can. We're not interested in how our competitors do it because in our eyes, we don't have competitors. I don't have competitors. I don't care. It's us
against us, man.
It's just us against us. I don't care what the guy down the street can do. It's not my problem. That's the guy's down the street problem. I know what I can do, and I'm going to make sure I do better than anyone else can. But as far as who's my competition, there is no competition. That's how you have to be you have to be able to back that, though. You have to be able to back that. Mm-hmm. Sure, that person may have something you don't, or may know a little bit more about something you don't, but you can confidently say that if you choose me over that person, you won't regret it. Because the level of attention I'm going to give you, nobody will give you. And you have to live it. That's like you speak it into existence.
And that's what differentiates MITM with our competitors.
I don't even think we have any, to be honest.
Yeah. We're private.
Well, it's like not only private, but most people who say they're consultants, they're not hands-on. They hand packets to clients and go, okay, so it's all you now. Mm-hmm. We don't do that.
Yeah.
We make the packet with the client and teach the client. And we're constantly there along the way. I mean, this is like...
It's like taking a course, really, you know?
Oh, with us or with them?
Well, with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we actually care.
Yeah.
We're not just in it for the paycheck. We love what we do. We're just taking our expertise and what each of our areas are. And, we just hired a new investment advisor too.
That's right, yeah.
Just did. Why not?
Customer satisfaction guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, if not, you tell me and we'll fix that real quick.
Oh, yeah.
But even when I onboard people, like there's a clear understanding of I know their skills. I know their skill sets because I've either worked with them in the past or worked alongside them. Mm-hmm. If I didn't work directly with them and I worked alongside them, then fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's such an easy skill to learn, just to be nice and respectful and honest. And yet it's the biggest problem a lot of businesses face. Because think about it. You treat a customer right, that customer rants and raves about you, tells everybody about you, gets a bunch of clients for you because they live by your brand.
This is what you had mentioned to me before. You said that anyone can be a business owner, but the management aspect is key to success.
You want people to live your brand too.
Right, yeah.
We have diehard fans. Mm-hmm. We have customers that when we first opened believed in just the value and work ethic of like me when I was a relationship manager prior to opening this business that said, I don't even want the services. I just want to support you because I know you're good at what you do. And they end up utilizing the services. But the point is they didn't even have to hear it. They didn't care what I was doing. They just knew whatever I was doing, I was going to do it well because of the time that I spent doing, all the other stuff with them.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's like, that speaks a lot. To have a customer to have a client pull out money and say, it's yours. I want to support you because you're good at what you do. And I don't care what it is you do, but I support you regardless. Because I know whatever it is you offer, it's going to be great. Mm-hmm. That doesn't just happen. And if you think about that, that's what every business should strive for. Treat me right and I'll treat you right. Do me wrong, I'm not coming back. But you have to be willing to listen too. I think a lot of owners forget that. Like your customers are literally your eyes when you're not there. And if they tell you this person doesn't call back, he's probably not calling back. If they tell you this person's really rude, why are they rude? Maybe they're having a bad day, but that's not an excuse. I hate when people say I'm having a bad day. Then don't come to work.
Or leave it at home.
If you can't leave it at home, don't come to work. I'd rather not have you than have you ruin my customers.
Yeah.
Ruin my customer experience for the day. Because I can deal with you not coming to work one day. I can't deal with the relationships you just ruined. Because that's going to go and spread like wildfire. How bad it was or how they got treated. And people don't have time for that. People don't have patience for that. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're dealing in commodity type of business where you pay for something. If I'm paying you for a service and you can't deliver the service and everything that encompasses that service, and I don't want to pay you again to do it because I'd rather go somewhere else. People don't mind spending money. They just want to know that when they spend their money, it's on something worth it. That's all it is. And if you can't ensure that your business is something worth spending money on, then there's no helping you.
Yeah, that's a big one, man.
Like, we can't run your business for you. We help you, and we give you input and strategies to do better, and we sit there with you and do them. But if you don't care, then don't expect your customers to care and don't expect your employees to care. But if you have that mentality of like, we're here to work, we're here to have a great time, and we're here to treat our customers like royalty, that doesn't mean we worship their ground they walk on, and that doesn't mean we can make things happen that can't happen. Like there's just some stuff we can't do. That's okay. But solutions, coming up with solutions, coming up with alternatives, giving your customers either the attention that they need, giving them the solutions that they need, giving them the alternatives that they need. The point is you can't just drop off in the middle of an interaction and say, well, we'll get to you when we get to you. No, it's not the customer's job. If the customer has to call you for follow-ups, that's a problem. You've already identified the issue. You're the issue. Why does he have to call you to find out where we're at on this?
Yeah.
Now, again, there's some people who like to call every hour. That's different. But set the expectation. Mr. Customer, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we have a client relationship manager. They're going to be on top of this. They're your direct point of contact. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. If you can't reach them by phone, here's their email. If they're with a client, that's okay. They can answer your email. But the point is, you've given them hope in the sense that they feel like they can trust you. You've given them a point of contact, which is super huge because now this person is not going to go around calling the administrator and the HR and this. Like, we know who our relationship manager is. Great. Well, he's not answering the phone. Well, have you emailed him? No, I haven't emailed him. Well, email him because he's very busy, but he's always available by email. It's not that he won't call you, but he's going to have to get back to you. And that's okay. That's within expectation, right? We can't just tell that employee, drop everything you're doing, forget all the other customers and just focus on this one. No, it's not fair. That's not a realistic expectation. And you inform the customer, you're on the list. We will get back to you. We can't drop everybody else just to take care of this one thing. And that's where it's reasonable. But if you have another client relationship manager, maybe keeping them in the loop with each other, sharing folders and files so somebody can access it and say, oh, he's on step 1 of 5. Like typically speaking, when we do that, we like to have steps on where we're at in the progress of the job. Like we would lay out the structure, like week 1, week 2. Like if it's a 4-week project, we say week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And then we check off the objectives that we set forth so that if somebody can't get a hold of me and they can call, Omar or Enrique or even you and find out where we're at, it's just simple as going through the cloud drive, clicking on their name, job that's being done, and then status. And you can tell the client now, I'm pulling up your file. It looks like they're on step 3 of 4 for the first week. So it's 1 step more. I'll make sure to notate to have them call you if you'd like. If it's a little bit beyond. Like you could even say something like, you want to have a structure in place where you're like, we call the customer every week.
Being attentive and responsive.
Yeah.
And I think those are
It's
big
not
ones.
calling a customer and saying, I'm going to lunch. I'm using the restroom.
Yeah.
Like that's not it. But there's that level of like, if there's a new transition or if there's a hold, it needs to be relayed. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be too quick, if you're going to be quick, even if you're going to do it fast, great news. We actually have been able to put so much effort and time into this that it looks like we're going to be ahead of schedule. Great.
Oh, they love that.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Good. We're so happy to hear that. Now you've got a 5-star review that was going to be 5 stars. And in that review, they're going to say, checks in, great customer service, faster than expected, quality work, recommended to everybody. Versus the work was great, they didn't call back, I probably wouldn't use them again because of the lack of communication, and they weren't very respectful. But the work's good, so I'll give them a 3. The work was good, but the rest was not. Mm-hmm. Now it's up to that customer to decide whether or not you're worth their time. Their work is good, but do I really want to deal with the unknown of just not knowing where we're at, how we're going to get there, and how long it's going to take? Probably not. Some say yes, and others say no, probably not. Mm-hmm. And it's like, do you really want to lose a client over something like that? Because you just can't pick up the phone and call them and say, hey.
So everything we've discussed so far with this podcast, is this something that you learned yourself, or is this something that you learned over time being taught through different mentors and the programs you attended to get into the position you're at now?
I would say that because I hate it myself, mm-hmm. I hate not being in the loop, that it drives, like what I don't like out of other people's businesses drives me to make my business do it better.
I'm with you on that one.
If somebody can't do what I want them to do, then I will do it. I'll create that service that nobody wants to do. And that's how I live my life with everything. Yeah. It's like, don't do it great. I'm happy.
It grinds your gears, right?
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
Me too.
Because it's so simple. But great, you don't want to do it? I'll make a company that does do it. That's why I started this one. Banks are pushing away clients. They don't want to give service. They don't even hire employees that know everything about everything. They just hire employees that know their products.
Yep.
This is what we do, and that's all we do. Yep. And if you don't like it, kick rocks. But you can't go anywhere else. It's like, no, they can go somewhere else.
I have a million things to say about my position. I'm not going to get into it, but I have so many great ideas, and I've relayed this information over to the co-owner. And he's like, George, I'm with you. I've discussed this with the owner himself, and he's tried. He wants to do everything. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. And if we listen to what I have to say, honestly, the company would be ran 1,000 times better.
Right.
But there's nothing that I can do. I can only share the information, and if you want to take it, great. And if not, that's cool. But going back to what you were saying, you can take all of that, and when you start your own little gig company, whatever, you can implement those ideas and run your company 100 times better.
Right. In every business plan, the number one question on there is, what is your competitive edge? And that means, in layman's terms, the easiest way to break it down is, what separates your business from your competitors? Why is your business special? And why is the thing that you do better than the guy down the street who does it? And it always boils down to, we may do the same job, but the way we do it is completely different. And when I started my company, I did a business plan for myself. What do I want? What makes me happy? What's out there and what's not being done? And my experience is in the finance. My expertise is in the finance industry, in the relationship managing industry. But what's not being offered? Banks don't have time for people anymore. Everything's by appointment only. They only have like 2 people working there at all times. You can't even call to get questions answered because their lines are so busy. Or when you do finally get to ask the question, you're getting wrong information. We had a customer who requested a line increase on their business credit card before they called us. They called us after the fact. And he goes, I'm upset. And I said, why are you upset? He said, I called the bank and asked for an increase on my credit card. And I specifically asked them multiple times, and I got the same answer from 3 different people. Is it going to be a hard inquiry on my credit if I request a credit increase? And the bankers told him no. And I started laughing. I said, okay, sorry, go ahead, keep telling me. And he goes, they told me no. The manager told me no. The banker told me no. This person said no. I get my credit report, and it says a hard inquiry has been placed. I said, absolutely.
Okay, I'll just say this now. This happened to me recently, about 2 months ago. I asked them, is this going to be a hard inquiry or soft? Oh, it's going to be soft. Okay,
because they don't even know what that means.
And now that you're telling me this, it kind of,
just brought up that memory. And
an open wound.
He's pissed off. He's pissed off, and he goes, they're stupid. They're idiots. And I said, it's not that they're idiots. It's not that they're stupid. It's that they're not being trained. They're being trained to sell X, Y, and Z. They're not being trained to service it.
Is there something we can do about that? I mean, now that it's been done, the damage has been done?
No. You could call the credit company, call the credit bureaus and dispute it.
Oh, okay.
And you could say it's a hard inquiry. When they told me it was a soft, I was disinformed.
Okay.
And it was misinformation. But I started laughing, and not because I just laughed the moment he said, I asked 3 people, and I said, you asked them what? If it was going to be a hard inquiry. I said, what'd they say? He's like, no, and I started laughing. I go, you went through 3 people to find out the wrong answer.
Wow.
But the point is rather than, you know what, we're going to hold off until we for certain have this answer. No, they just do it because their job isn't to give information. Their job isn't to service clients. Their job is to sell something.
Terrible.
And that line increase counts towards their loan volume. I know this because I used to do it. So it's like, great. You increased your line of credit. You got the full loan volume. Great. But you disinformed that client. You misled that client into thinking that whatever it is isn't going to be this thing. And then it is this thing. And what are the repercussions? Nothing. He doesn't get what he wants, and he's screwed because he got a hard inquiry right out the gate. Rather than, and I explained to him, I said, the service you pay us for is great, but you need to do it before you do it. You call us before you want to increase the line so we can tell you the truth, what's going to happen when you do that. But it's just, that's what separates us. We looked at our competitors, we looked at what they were doing, and then we looked at what they weren't doing. We're not concerned about what they are doing, we're looking at what they're not doing. And we built a business around what others don't do. Because now we're in a niche market where nobody does it the way we do it. Nobody even does what we do. And on top of that, nobody can keep up with how good we do it. Because the way we set up the company, the way that I have the procedures in place, the way that I set the expectation for each employee, for each client. So if it's not met to my standard, it's going to get adjusted. It's going to get adjusted really quick. So, yeah, man, employee retention.
Thanks for sharing all that, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, I think we're good for employee retention. I'm going to try to bring in, I think I have to go get a third mic because I want to bring in somebody to talk about cryptos, like a crypto expert.
Oh, that would be awesome. Let's
and
do
I know
that,
you're
please.
always hot button crypto. You
I
love crypto.
I do.
So I think that's what's going to happen. I'm going to probably go, I'm going to see if he's available for next week, and then I'm going to go probably get a new mic and headset for him.
Okay. I'm excited for this.
Want to thank everybody for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Check us out on our website at www.mitm.services. If you'd like to pick the next topic, join our membership program. Plenty of options and things to choose from there. And you get to pick the topics. Check us out on Instagram, which is MITM Business Consultants. And we just want to thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we look forward to the next podcast.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Man in the Middle. If you haven't yet, please consider liking and subscribing to the show. If you can't wait till next episode, follow us on Instagram at MITM Business Consulting and online at mitm.services. There, you can learn more about what we do, how we can help, and the custom services we offer around your personal needs. Until next time, if you'd like to choose the topic we discuss and receive additional services, consider joining our membership program at mitm.services.
Disclaimer. Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
We look forward to you tuning in next time.